Hi guys, Ray from Whimsical Pictures here, bringing you a manga tag today. This is the tag that's been going around for a little while now, started by AloofDragons, and I was tagged by the Manga Hoarder. So the first question of this tag is, what are you reading right now? Of course, I am participating in the February manga challenge started by Yuri in real life. The goal of that is to read a manga volume per day. And the one I was reading for today is The Ghost and the Lady, Volume 1, and then I also have Volume 2, which will complete the story. And this is like a supernatural take on Florence Nightingale's story by the creator of Ushio and Tora, which is a shounen series from the 90s. You may have seen some of the recent anime adaptation of that manga, but I really like his aesthetic. It's very sort of gritty, grimy, late 90s shonen style, so I really appreciate that aesthetic. So far it's really interesting, so I'm definitely looking forward to finishing this up and giving you guys my thoughts on it. I also have to mention that since I was driving like 12 hours the other day, I ended up reading the audiobook for this YA book called This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. She's a pretty well-known author, but I haven't read any of her stuff before now. And I just have to mention that because I loved that book so much. I'm not usually into YA, so this came as a surprise that I enjoyed it as much as I did. I definitely think if you have any interest in real books, if you like Tokyo Ghoul or Devil's Line, I think you could really appreciate The Savage Song, which is about a world divided between humans and monsters, and the monsters are born from crime scenes, and the world is really interesting. The two characters are, the girl is a human and the boy is a monster. One of them is from North City, which is ruled by a dictator, and one from the South City, which has fallen into chaos and belongs to the task force of sort of a renegade, almost terrorist. So, very interesting book there. I do recommend the audiobook. That was quite good. Number 2, what is your guilty pleasure manga? I know a lot of people have been like, oh, I don't feel guilty about any of the manga that I read, but I think they're being too pedantic. I don't think the term guilty pleasure means that you're literally guilty about reading something. It's more like, you know, maybe it's something that you know isn't the greatest, or that you know you don't like for the most prudent reasons, but you love it with all your heart anyway. And for me, that would probably be Arina Tanimura's The Gentleman's Alliance Cross. This was one of my first manga, man, way back in the day, maybe like 9th grade. I think it's 11 volumes long. I really need to collect it. It's just not that high on my priority list, but I've read through it at least twice from the library. It is like an IV drip of pure, undistilled shoujo fluff directly into your veins. Every, stupid melodramatic plot point you can think of that shows up in shoujo manga is totally present here. It's just gleefully, unabashedly shoujo. The love interest has, a secret evil twin who he, switches places with sometimes because he's got a terminal illness, and the main character is, an ex-Yankee who's been adopted into a rich family and now has to be the poor girl in the rich kid's school. Even the school uniforms are so ridiculously, over the top. Nobody would want to put on something that complicated every morning, but they're pretty, gosh darn it. And of course, it's all with Arina Tanimura's, super duper shoujo artwork that is beautiful, but it is, wow, huge eyes, way over detailed hair, and overcomplicated costumes, and it's just, I love it. It's probably not the most, I guess, sound of her stories. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and some of the characters are all over the place, but I love it. It's definitely a rainy day go-to for me. It just makes me smile. I love The Gentleman's Alliance Cross. It's cute. That's my guilty pleasure manga. Number 3, have you ever cried reading manga? Do you remember which volume? I am a crybaby, and I cry all the time. But the one that always makes me cry, like, every single time, like, every other volume makes me cry so much, is the one that I still, to this day, call my favorite manga, which is Fruits Basket. That just makes me sob like a little baby. And the one that really, like, brought on the waterworks in a really, like, big cathartic way for me. The first time I read it, the second time I read it, the third time I read it, and now is the first volume in these two, which is volume 15 of the singles. And if you have read the series, this is Yuki's backstory. Yuki is the character that I relate to most in fiction that I found. I love him so much. He means so much to me. His journey means so much to me. His arc, him becoming a better, more open person, literally saved my life when I was going through some really dark stuff. And, yeah. And he's the reason that Fruits Basket will always have a very special place in my heart. And his backstory is very depressing. Honestly, it's that little bit of hope in the darkness, which is the incident with the baseball cap, if you've read the manga. That's the part where I just, like, started just bawling all over the place. The Heart of Thomas also made me cry a lot, especially at the end. The part that makes me cry in that one is when Oscar at the end says, you know, I was waiting. I was only waiting. And I just, like, I'm gonna even start tearing up now just thinking about it. Oscar means a lot to me, too. Yeah. I'm a sap. I cry all the time. It doesn't take a lot to make me cry. But that's okay. That's what I love about art, is its incredible power to move people. Number 4. What is a manga you like in a genre you don't normally ever read? This was a recent pickup for me, but this is Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid by Cool Kyo Shinja. Again, that's a weird handle there. But this would fall under, like, the, you know, cutesy, moe, ecchi comedy, and Monster Girls, of course. But the Monster Girls part isn't the part that I don't like, because I actually do kind of like Monster Girls. I've had to accept that about myself. Because, I don't know, those shows just always make me laugh. So, I enjoyed Monster Musume. That'd probably be another one. Because that one is full on ecchi. That is super lewd territory, that show. But I didn't read the manga for it, I just watched the anime. Every episode. Gleefully. This, yeah, not usually my thing. This type of super otaku-y, just playing up the whatever the trendy fetish of the week is with the otaku in Japan. Which apparently right now is Monster Girls, which I'm okay with because that's better than incest, which is what it was before. I love anime. It's cute. It's cute, and it's really funny. It has a really weird sense of humor. It has lesbian dragons in it, which is great. And I just wouldn't have expected to like it, but I watched the anime because everyone was saying it was good, and it was good. So I got the manga too, and the manga is just as good. So, yeah, that's that. Number 5. Pick. Seinen, shounen, or shoujo. This is a weird one for me, because, for one, I think that those demographics are outdated. I don't think they mean anything anymore, except to, like, underpaid bookstore employees who have to figure out where in the store to put the magazines. And this should also include josei, by the way. That's another major one. It's young men, and then young women, boys and girls. So this is a weird one. Technically my 2 favorite manga, which are The Heart of Thomas and Fruits Basket, those are both shoujo. They're very much shoujo. But, like, Moto Hagio is the creator of The Heart of Thomas. She's mostly known for her seinen and josei works. She's also done shounen. A lot of my favorite creators are very much chameleons, so can't really go based on that. Shounen I'm not typically drawn towards. There are exceptions. I love A Silent Voice, obviously. Maki and Hunter x Hunter I keep going back to. They're fun. They don't tend to, like, really grab onto my heart the way that other types of series go to. Seinen, you have to understand that shonen and seinen, they're not really for boys. The same way that, you know, superhero movies in America aren't for boys. They're for boys, but that for boys is a general audiences category. That's the same in America and Japan. Boys media is general audiences. Girls media is a specialty product. Which sucks. It sucks. But it's also true right now in the current climate. So seinen and shonen are general audiences categories. And seinen is going to be your most general because that is your coveted 18 to 34 demographic. And it covers everything from like salaryman manga to otaku manga to art manga. It's the whole gamut. So I would have to go with seinen by default. Just because that's where the most content is. And the most varied content. So I gotta have my mushishi, you know? I gotta have my mushishi, I gotta have my Fumi Yoshinaga stuff. Like, a lot of her stuff is josei, but like What Did You Eat Yesterday, which is my favorite title by her, is seinen. Ooku is seinen. Anything that runs in Ikki, which sadly doesn't exist anymore, but anything under the Sig Ikki line is going to be by default seinen because it comes from that magazine. Garo is a seinen magazine that is an art magazine. Axe, Comic Beam, which is what Wandering Sun ran in. Those are all seinen magazines, and they're doing pretty much the most interesting stuff you're going to find in manga. It's just the most varied content is seinen, even though I don't tend to like the, like, sort of gritty action stuff that's really popular on MangaTube that's seinen. Like, I guess I don't really mind Vinland Saga, it's just not really my genre. Or, like, Gantz or whatever. There are exceptions, I love Tokyo Ghoul, but for the most part that's not really my genre. But seinen covers a lot more than that. Number 6. What is your favorite manga world and why? For this, I have to go with Magi. That's, like, why I love Magi. Why that's, like, my shonen manga of choice. My drug of choice, if you will. The one that I keep coming back to and I keep up with, even though it's so long. Because I love the world. I love every time they introduce a new country or, like, a new clan of people. I love the politics of it. I love all the weird monsters and stuff. You know, it's just, it has such a wide-eyed sense of adventure to it. Not just the characters, but the world itself. And it just is so inviting. Even in the dark parts, it makes me want to go there. And just be an explorer. Like, I really want to go, like, vacation in Sindria, because that seems pretty chill. But if I were in Magi's world, I would totally be an explorer. Number 7. Most underrated series you own. I could cheat and go with a series that hasn't been translated into English, or a series that, like, is super ridiculously out of print. But I'm not gonna do that, because I want to give you something that you can go out and buy right now. And for that, I'm gonna be super predictable, and go with Maruhagyo. That is the secret goal of this channel, is, like, if I can convince one person to read Maruhagyo, I will have succeeded. In my mind. She is so well known in Japan. She's one of the classics, one of the great masters. Her name is spoken in the same breath as Osamu Tezuka, Yoshihiro Tatsumi, Hirohiko Araki. Yet nobody over here reads her. Look how beautiful these books are, too. You can get this guy for like 20 bucks. Her other stuff you can get cheaper. A Drunken Dream and Other Stories you can get for 15. And I think that that is actually a really great place to start with her, because it's a collection of short stories that spans her entire career, from the 70s until now. Includes some of her sci-fi works, as well as her more dramatic works, and her more surreal works. So that's the place I recommend starting. But this is the one I had on hand, so this is also a great place to start, because it is one of the first BL manga of all time. And a lot of what you see in BL and Yuri manga now comes from this. as well as like shoujo manga in general. A lot was taken from Year 24, but it's also just such a beautiful story. She's my hero. I want to be her when I grow up. But yeah, read her. Read Motohagio. That's my impassioned appeal for now. Her stuff isn't hard to find. The stuff that's been translated into English. Otherworld Barbara might appeal to a lot of people who are really into the seinen stuff, especially sci-fi stuff, like, I don't know, what's popular right now? Planetess, that's what I was gonna say. Planetess. Terraformars is pretty popular right now too, right? Yeah, read that. Read Otherworld Barbara. Number 8. What is a series you don't own, but you want to start collecting? I really need to get in on, Requiem for the Rose King. It sounds right up my alley. I've already enjoyed another work from the author, which was Otomen, which is a very different series, but, you know, she is a mangaka that I like. And this sounds like so much more up my alley than Otomen was. You know, being like a alternate telling of the story of the Rose Wars and Richard III. And I haven't read it yet, and there's really no excuse. It's just like, every time I walk into the bookstore, I like have it on my mind, like, I should look for Requiem of the Rose King. And I'm thinking that as I'm walking through the door, and then when I'm on the other side of the door, I'm just like, huh, I feel like I was going to look for something. Every time that happens, but I really need to get off my butt and go get that. Number 9, do you have a manga with a favorite spine aesthetic? Yeah, right here. These are some of my Japanese volumes. I've shown the first one before because I was working through that one. I still need to read the other 2. But this is Yurikuma Arashi, the manga. It is 3 volumes long, and these are such beautifully designed books. But I love these spines. The colors go together so beautifully. They fit the series really well, of course, because pink for Ginko, green for Lulu, and then orange for Kureha. But these are just such fun, funky colors. I love the little bear logo. I actually love the typography on the title and the white numbers, and how you have one character portrait for each volume. This is just impeccably designed. Like, the whole book, really, is impeccably designed. So, I love everything about this. I love these dust jacket flaps, and I actually love how the books look without the dust jacket as well. Still very slick. Very, very slick. These books make the graphic designer in me happy. And then number 10, unread series on your shelf that you most look forward to reading. Let's see. I have to read From Far Away because I got all of it from the used bookstore recently, and I'm very much looking forward to reading that. Oh, and also these guys here, which I just hauled. And I was waiting for them for a long time because they came from Japan. So this is The Po Clan by Motohagio, and it's about vampires, and I love vampires, and I love Motohagio, so I'm really eager to get into these guys. And that's what I'm looking forward to the most. So that's everything. Thank you for tagging me, Manga Hoarder. And I don't think I'm going to tag anybody else because I feel like this has pretty much gone around to everyone, and honestly, there's like several tags going around right now, so probably that's enough for right now. But yeah, that was fun. Thanks. Thanks for watching, everybody, and see you in the next video. Bye guys, happy reading.